That is a massive rip. I gotta do the video again because I forgot to set my microphone. So that sucks. Well, the positive is that I can be more concise with what I want to say because I kind of rambled in the first video for a long time. The too long didn't watch the video is how I bought my house or how I bought my home at 26. So it's a condo. Number one, get some high paying job that pays in like the high fives. Um, so anything in software development, software engineering, any sort of engineering, nursing, dental hygienist, maybe an accountant, like those types of jobs. Those are what I would consider like high fives jobs. They pay in the high fives. So those are just some ideas. I mean, I know there's a lot of ways to make a living, but those are the jobs that or the careers that come into my mind. I became an iOS developer, so I went the software route. Get a job the high fives, save a lot of money. I'm living at home. If you have the option to live at home, do it. But even with myself living at home, I'm still paying all of the utilities and the insurance, the auto insurance, for all five cars. I think it's five cars, 4 or 5 cars, um, which actually comes out to it's actually kind of a lot of money. But anyways, just save a lot of money. For me, I would say if you're living in California and you want like a nice condo or like a fixer upper single family house, you're looking at like high 400s, 500s, like that area. But realistically, like if you want like a decent 3 and 2, you're looking probably like 600,000. Yeah, it's a lot of money, at least on the coastal end of California. If you're in like if you go more inland, if you're in like in Central California, you can probably get a lot more bang for a buck for 600. You can probably get the same house for like I don't know, maybe 350, 400. The same house you would pay like 600 out in some coastal town or city in California. Save a lot of money, and then once you think you have enough money for a down payment, you have your emergency fund, you have your debt low, start looking for a property and make sure you're like just make sure you're realistic with your expectations and what I would call your requirements in the home. um I mean, it depends on what you value. Some people don't care about the driveway. I happen to care a lot about the driveway, so those are one of my requirements. So that's how I did it. um have a well-paying job, pays a ton of high fives, save a lot of money, even if you're renting. uh if you're living at home, it's a lot easier. But I pretended that I was like renting a place because I pay all the utilities and the insurance here. Um, After that, start looking, keep your expectations, and make sure you're ground yourself. Um, and don't have high expectations, especially for the area that you. So some of you guys asked me some questions, so I'm gonna answer those now. Okay, so how much did you put down on the house? So I put 3% down. Okay, so the let me go back. The purchase price of the home, 500,000, and I put 3% of that, so that comes out to 15,000. But with closing costs was another, I would say another 6 to 7 thousand. So all in with your down payment and closing costs, you're looking at 21, 22,000, at least in my situation. So that's how much I spent after the whole transaction after being in escrow. What was the order of importance? Commute time, price, quality of schools, proximity to grocery stores, etc. So I think for me, the most important thing, and it's kind of a cliche saying, is location. Location is really important in real estate, um, because you can always change the house, but you can't change the location. Like you can't just pick up land and put it somewhere, put it somewhere else. So I think the location should be anyone's number one. It was my number one. I made sure to be in a good part of town. My second priority was having it be a cosmetic fixer upper. And the reason why I want a cosmetic fixer upper was because of all of Meet Kevin's videos and buying a property in the wedge. So if the market was up here, you ideally want to buy a house that's down here. And the reason why it's down here is because it's a cosmetics fixer upper. Not people want to deal with all those cosmetic issues of horrible carpet, the paint's peeling, the gross kitchen, stuff like that. They deter potential buyers, and that brings the price down. Um, and as long as they're cosmetics, cosmetics are generally easier to deal with than like systems like your HVAC, electricity, your roof, your foundation, septic systems. It's easier to deal with those cosmetics, and they're relatively cheap to do versus like trying to fix systems. I think with cosmetics, you can do that yourself a lot easier than trying to fix systems, because I don't know anything about um, electrical systems or HVAC. I could probably learn about it, but I just don't have the experience to fix that stuff. For me, cosmetics, the cosmetic fixer upper was a big deal because I wanted to um, buy down here, fix it up so I could bring the property up here, so that all of that extra, that wedge right here, that would all be margin I can use to buy more real estate or leverage that money somewhere else. I can take that money and buy stocks or invest in the business or something like that. Commute times, that was another requirement for me, was staying in Ventura County, and ideally I wanted to stay in like the Oxnard, Ventura, Camarillo area. That was mainly where I looked. Um, just to keep the commute time, try to keep the commute time down. For some people, maybe they don't mind the commute. I have a coworker that lives an hour away from Haas, and I was like, dang, I could never drive 2 hours round trip each day. I think, like, I like driving, but doing that, driving for 8 hours, at least 8 hours a day, excluding Fridays because you got to work from home on Fridays. Um, that's a lot of driving, and I personally wouldn't want to deal with that, especially living at home. My work is 10 to 15 minutes away. It's like pretty short commute, and it's pretty nice having a short commute. So I wanted my commute to be similar. The price, regarding the price, one, talk to a lender first, see how much you can buy depending on depending on what you qualify for, your income. But you want to make sure that you have 2 years worth of income. I think ideally at the same job. If you're a W-2 employee, it's a lot easier to qualify. But if you're self-employed, it's a little bit more difficult, I think. But talk to a lender. Talk to your lender about that. The schools don't matter to me because I don't have a family. But if you have a family and you have kids, that could be something important for you. And then the proximity to like stores, that wasn't a big deal for me either. But going on the topic, so my requirements: stay within Oxford, Ventura, Cameo area. I considered Santa Paula and Fillmore, but they were just a little too far from Haas for me. I wanted it to be less than 600,000 because 600,000 was my how much I qualified for, like the upper limit, and 600,000 on having a mortgage on a 600,000, that was too much money for me. So I was trying to look for the high 400s, low 500s. I was looking for a cosmetic fixer upper so I can buy in the wedge, have a property be here, bring it back up to market value through all the cosmetic fixes. And the last two requirements, you needed to have a garage, ideally a 2-car garage, and it needed to have a driveway, a 2-car driveway. and I got all my requirements met, so I'm super happy about that. Also, after you get your lender, make sure you find a really good real estate agent. So shout out to Edward. He was my real estate agent that got recommended to me after I talked to my lender and went through the whole qualification pre-approval process. He was super helpful with the whole process, going through the buying process, especially as a first-time home buyer. And it was nice because it felt like I had like a friend helping me out, because he was a similar age as me. I think he was a fellow millennial. So that was nice. He also grew up in Oxnard too, so he was really easy to relate to. He was really easy to work with. He was very communicative. All the texts that I sent to him, any emails I sent to him, like he would reply them like right away. So it's super important to have like a real estate agent that's looking out for you, that really communicative, because like, you don't want a deal to come up and then, try to get an offer and then your real estate agent's like not replying. That would suck. But yeah, shout out to Edward. He's his Instagram is Edward the Realtor. So go check him out. If you have any questions, shoot him a message. Okay, I have no idea where the other questions went. Let's see. I'll try to remember what the questions were. I think someone else asked how much I put down. Again, I put the 3% down, which is 15,000. But that's just the down payment. You also have to keep in mind the closing costs, which was another $6,000 for me. So all in, that was about 21,000 after escrow. What's the Wi-Fi password? That was the first thing I did, was set up the Wi-Fi network at the place. What's the Wi-Fi password? It's complicated. I don't know what to say. It's gonna be all lowercase. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Is there gonna be a house party? I probably I don't know what for what occasion, but there's probably gonna be house parties. I don't know. And there's gotta be food. I don't know how some people have parties, and I'm talking about college parties, and not have food. I don't know. It's just all the parties that I've been to, they've always had food. So I never understood the no food thing. College parties, anyways. One of the questions that one of my friends IRL asked me was, when did I know that I had enough money for a down payment? You're just gonna, it really depends on your area. You're gonna have to take a look at the prices in your area, see what you want, and depending on how much you qualify for, see if it's realistic for you to get that kind of property. But if you're out here living in California, if you want something in the 500s, you're gonna have to have like a high fives job, like a high five-figure job, at least, to qualify for the mortgage for that home. Yeah, I think that is it. Oh, I guess I can give you more details of the numbers. Got the house for 500,000. It listed for 490. I offered, I think, 520. Based on another property that was the same model, that was already remodeled. I think that house was going for 520. So I thought, hey, this house is in original condition. If I can spend 20,000, or if I can spend less than 20,000 on it and get the house for, if I could like sell in the future for 520, then whatever, like I can at least make $10,000 in profit. At least that was my line of thinking. But I think in the future probably worth more than, I don't know, 520. Yeah, it listed for 490. I offered 520. It got appraised for 500, and the whole process between when I sent the offer and right before the appraisal, it was a very like weird time for me, because I didn't know if it would appraise or not. So I was thinking of all these scenarios, whether if it went over a lot, that's good that I don't have to cover the appraisal gap, but it's good that I don't have to cover the appraisal gap, but I would have to purchase a property at a higher price. And then if it didn't appraise and it was below the listing price, I would only cover so much. think I told the seller that I would only cover 20,000 because that's the amount I was willing to give to them in cash outside of like the down payment and closing costs. It took me about 6 to 7 months from when I started looking to when I actually got the place. It might take a lot shorter for you. It might take a lot longer. I don't know. It just kind of depends. In this market, it's terrible as a buyer, so you might be putting in a lot of offers and that are not going to get accepted. But in this market, you're just gonna have to you gotta overbid. You gotta pay more than the listing price or offer more than the listing price. If you want me to make a follow-up video with more details, I could do that. Basically, how I bought a home at 26 is that have a well-paying job that pays in the high fives, save a lot of money, like save over half of your income. I think even if you're renting, I think that's doable. If you're living at home where you can keep your expenses really low, do it. I'm living at home, but even with living at home, I still pretended that I was paying rent by paying all of the utilities and all the insurance for like 4 or 5 cars. So I think it's totally doable. See how much you can qualify for. Talk to your lender. They can tell you depending on your income. Find a really good realtor. Shout out to Edward. He was a super helpful with the buying process and being my realtor. And just be realistic with your expectations. Have a list of requirements that are realistic, and don't settle for a property, at all. It's a big purchase, so make sure you get all of your requirements and your non-negotiables met with whatever property you're going for. It's getting late for me. It's almost 1 a.m. I'm kind of rambling probably at this point, but if you have any other questions and you want me to make a follow-up video with answers, I'm more willing to do that. I haven't done one of these like sit down videos in a long time. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.